I understand utilization and billable hours. I understand, I respect that. However, I think people can get promoted without saying, I billed the most hours this year, and that's my badge of honor.
Hello! This is CPA Career Path Podcast with Rosey Flaherty, CPA MSA, where we dive into thrilling journeys in the world of accounting. This episode is proudly sponsored by Chapman University's Archibald College of Business and Economics, located in beautiful sunny Southern California. Are you thinking about pursuing a master's in accounting? Chapman's MSA program is tailored for ambitious professionals like you. With intimate class size and a collaborative atmosphere, you will receive personalized attention from world-class faculty who bring extensive industry expertise to the classroom. Enhance your accounting skills, fulfill CPA license requirements, and elevate your career with Chapman's flexible MSA program. Discover more and apply today at chapman.edu/MSA. Hello! We have a special guest today, Jeannine K. and she is named among the 25 most powerful women in the accounting profession in 2024 and 2023 by the AICPA and CPA Practice Advisor. And also, Jeannine is the CEO of Everyday Lead. Especially, Jeannine also has a book, best-selling book, Unstuck and Unstoppable, 5 Proven Strategies to Leverage Your Value, Increase Your Visibility, and Gain Recognition to Accelerate Your Career. Wow, I should check this book out. I will be bad if I do not mention that she's also the creator and host of Untoxic Boss podcast. Jeannine, you're doing so much. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
I am honored to be here. Hello, Rosey, and hello to everyone who tunes in to the podcast.
Yeah, and before we go in your CPA or your career journey, can you introduce a little bit more about yourself to the audience?
Well, again, my name is Jeannine Brown, and I am currently the CEO of Everyday Lead, and we're a global talent development consultancy firm where we help companies, we always say we help companies retain talent from intern to retirement who love what they do in the companies they work for. And we do that through helping companies create high performance teams using techniques related to psychological safety, communication, conflict, team formation, you name it. So we get up in the company and we help them solve problems so that they can be more innovative and productive at work. I am also a certified professional coach. I get the opportunity to work with men and women in all sorts of professions that are looking to move into the C-suite or at least have a lot more visibility in their organizations. And so we have a coaching program and a staff of coaches, and every once in a while I get to coach. And then also, like you said, the book. And that's why I wrote the book, because I can't coach everyone, but a lot of the things that we have used to help our clients feel more confident, be more creative in the workplace, think better, build better relationships, get over imposter syndrome. We wrote about that in the book to help women and men kind of find better ways to navigate their careers and be successful without working more hours.
Hey, I like that. Without working more hours. Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. We in public accounting, we still cannot avoid busy seasons, and we still cannot working overtime so much, not just a little bit, so much during busy season. So that would be amazing if you can achieve success without working so many hours.
Yeah, I think it's important. I feel like a lot of people equate time at your desk or at your laptop to productivity. And what I found is that is not always true. you might be at your desk, but you're probably distracted, you're tired, you have brain fog, you're dealing with all sorts of things, and you feel forced to be there. So that becomes more performance and not productivity. And so, yeah, I think it can be done. I understand utilization and billable hours. I understand, I respect that. However, I think people can get promoted without saying, I billed the most hours this year, and that's my badge of honor.
Oh, I see people talk about that a lot, that just because you work so many hours, it doesn't mean that it's a good example for younger people to follow your lead.
No.
By working that many hours as well.
Yeah. And I think also the younger workforce, they don't want to work 50, 60 hours a week, right? They're looking for more balance and quality of life. And they're even the ones that are in high pursuit of career success, like you, right? You are in high pursuit of career success. I've seen you at conferences and for a very long time. But I think also you understand the value of spending time with your family, with your friends, doing personal things that you enjoy. And I think the accountant of today is wanting to live and work, but not work to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. I think it's very challenging for a lot of professionals in this accounting profession, that we want to succeed in this profession. We need to put in all the effort, all the hours, but at the same time, we also have our life as well. We have family, we have another passion that we want to follow. So work is important, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you about that.
Yeah. And I don't know how that became like ingrained in our culture, that working so much is what is equivalent to success. And I find that even in some of the work, when you see people working more and they feel this pressure and the stress, and they feel significant pressure from their leadership in the workplace, it often leads to illness. And you find people are getting sick, and it could be minor illnesses like acne. It could be stomach aches, right? You got upset stomach, nervousness. But, a lot of studies are showing that some people believe that some cancers start to progress and build up in the body. And a lot of women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer associate that diagnosis to stress.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that some people, they have to deal with cancers at a very younger age because they stay late at night for for such a long period of time, and they didn't take care of themselves for such a long period of time as well. So that's why it's built up inside their body.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess it's because it was such a long time before, without technology, people had to put in so many hours. And so they may think that because I put so many hours at my age when I was younger, you need to put the same amount of hours at your age now to get where I am. And so sometimes I feel like it's right.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, Rosey, because when you ask them, if they say that, and then you ask, hey, what do you think you missed out on when you were younger, when your children were younger, and you were putting in all of these hours, and you were not at home a lot?
Yeah.
What do then they start to be more reflective, and they realize, I think one thing that COVID, the pandemic in 2020 and 21 did is remind people. I was working with a lot of executives at large corporations and public accounting firms, and some of them still had children at home, or their college-age children came home. And one of the things that they acknowledge is how being home, working from home, and having a little bit more personal time was so fulfilling, right? They were out walking with their spouse. They were in the neighborhood, right? They were going hiking. They were spending more time playing games, like family night games, watching movies together. And I really think that's what life is about, is being able to say, I spent all of this time doing these wonderful things, but my job gave me an opportunity, right? I was able to do that because I could finance my life because I have a great job and a great career. And I chose accounting, which has created some social mobility for me. But the biggest gift that I have is the time I spend with my family.
That's so true. And I think someone told me that it took COVID for people to recognize that. And yes, COVID was really bad, but it's probably a good sign for people to recognize that there is a need in the balance, in the work-life balance. Well, I got into interview and someone told me that it should be life-work balance,
Yeah,
not work-life balance. So I
I
probably
agree.
need to remind myself to correct that. But it's just so comfortable saying work-life balance all the time, and we don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. And it's interesting that that's how it was started, created as, oh, I want work-life balance. And no, I want life and then some work balance.
Yeah,
I want to have the life I imagine for myself. So,
that's so true. Oh, this topic is so hot. I can talk to you all day long. But I think we will come back to this topic later in this discussion. But I want to go a little back earlier in your career when you start your accounting professions, that when you just start in college, the audience may be just curious about why you started the accounting degree, not any other degrees.
so funny. I took accounting in high school. So I remembered it when I got to college. I didn't declare a major my freshman year, but I took it in high school and I enjoyed it and I did well in it in high school. And when it was time for me to declare a major, I actually wanted to major in art and psychology. And my mother said, no, you cannot get a degree in art. I'm not going to pay all this money for you to get a degree in art. And then I said, okay, I'll do psychology. She didn't have any, she wasn't opposed to that. But then I went to the library when we used to go back to the library. Remember those days? You'd go to the library. I looked up, a couple of careers and I was looking at compensation. I was like, okay, how much do these jobs pay? And how long do I have to go to school?
That's very smart.
Yes. And I realized, oh, wait a minute. I can major in business. So I started with that because I always wanted to be a business executive too. I could I could get a degree in business and start working and make, a good salary faster than I could if I went the psychology rate. And I knew I didn't want to be in school for a long time at that time. I felt that way. And so I picked accounting. So once I got into the business school, they encouraged us to pick a major. I was familiar with accounting, and I did well in it in high school. So I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. I did it in college and did well in it in college and graduated with a degree, a Bachelor of Science in business with a concentration in accounting, and then went and started my career with the Alabama Department of Revenue.
That's so funny. Your mom and my mom may get along together. Because when I was in high school, I told my mom that I wanted to do in marketing. And she's like, no. Marketing is not going to make the money. She told me to go with accounting. Well, unless you figured out by yourself going with accounting, but she's specifically saying that you should go with the accounting. So it's so funny that the conversation I had with my mom, she told me that, so every single company, they need two roles. Number one is marketing. And number two is accounting at every single company.
Yeah.
So you should either go with two of that. But besides of not making enough money for marketing, she told me that, well, look at you. You not really good at talking to people. Not, well, mom, I love you, but I'm sorry saying this. You're not pretty enough to be a marketing girl.
She should not have said that.
It's like, all right, I go with accounting because I know I'm good with math. But, well, saying that,
And
I
then
don't
you get
mean
into accounting, right? I think it's interesting that you said that you're good with math.
Yeah.
And just because you're good at math doesn't mean you're going to be a great accountant.
Exactly.
Because we do so little math. And now we do very little math because everything it all adds for itself. But I was good at math and algebra. But what accounting did for me was really sharpen my critical thinking skills. And that's what I tell people. Accounting is a critical thinking profession. And that's what I really loved about it, because you feel smart when you solve problems.
It's feel like I can get this job done. It feels good.
It
Yeah.
does. It feels good.
Yeah, it's feel amazing. So after you graduate, you start working at Alabama Department of Revenue.
Yeah.
How was the job like over there? Because you worked there for like almost 4 years.
So I started in property tax. Back then they called it ad valorem tax. And I started doing property tax, and it was kind of boring, to be honest with you. And I was like, this cannot be my life. But I was, working through it. I was getting good performance reviews. And I knew I always wanted more, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. And then one day I got a phone call from a man who was, at the time, he was the department secretary, which was the second highest executive role in the department. So you had he was the secretary of the department, and then you had the commissioner. So you had the revenue commissioner and then him. And so he called. They were looking for to invite a couple of analysts in the department to interview for a role to come work in the revenue commissioner's office. And I got the phone call, and I was surprised because I'm like, I didn't even know they knew who I was, that they noticed me. I didn't know any of their names, really. I knew who the commissioner was, but I didn't know who Lewis was, who was the department secretary. And so that happened. And I interviewed, and of the people that they interviewed, I was the one that they selected to come take the role. And that's when my accounting career really started to take off, and I really started to enjoy the profession a lot better. And that's also how I realized that I was designed and destined to be a consultant. So the role in the revenue department was very consultative. I worked with corporations and large corporations who were looking to move their operations into the state of Alabama. And I also worked very closely with the legislature. So, looking at tax law, explaining to the legislature how laws that they were going to pass or consider passing would impact state revenue. So if it was going to schools, hospitals, wherever the state tax was going. And so I would do that. And then with corporations, I would talk to them about the tax structure of the state of Alabama. So income tax, sales tax, property tax, you name it, whatever tax they needed to get information on, I would do that. And then we would help recruit companies to come to the state to open up locations and then provide them with tax incentives to help with that transition to the state of Alabama.
Wow. So you stayed there for like almost 4 years.
Yeah.
And it seems like you learn a lot. At least
I
you
learned a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I learned a lot. My communication skills sharpened my confidence because I was always the youngest person in the room, always often the only woman, but not always. One of my colleagues in the commissioner office was a woman too. So that gave, it was two of us, but always younger than all the men that we worked with. So it was a great experience. And what I'll tell you about that for your audience is to you never know what opportunity will find you. So always be ready, right? So always show up. And I think one of the things that they told me when I asked, like, why did y'all pick me? They was like, we just noticed you. You always look professional. You had a very mature demeanor, and we appreciated that. You have great communication skills and things like that. But I always tell people, be ready. You never know. And always bring your best self. And I mean that. It sounds cliche-ish, but always bring your best self because people are watching you. They're watching everything you do, what you say, how you deal with conflict, how you deal with feedback, everything, your facial expressions, your body language. All of that is constantly being looked at. And people are evaluating that to determine if there's an opportunity. And when an opportunity comes up, you want your name to be on that list.
Wow, that's a great advice. And that's so true because you don't know who's watching you and you don't know when opportunity may come. And so, just be ready. Anything could happen at any moment. I love that. But after you worked there for almost 4 years, you moved to the Global Tax Department at CMD Group LLC for over a year before you moved to Deloitte. Oh my God, that's a great transition. Can you walk me through why you made those transitions?
Yeah, so although I had this very visible role with the Department of Revenue, I was making peanuts, literally. I was not making a lot of money. And one of my friends was working for PwC, and he was like, Jeannine, he told me how much he was making. I think I was probably making $30,000 less than him. And he was like, we graduated together. We graduated from the same accounting program. You were one of the top accountants and the top students in the program. You should be making more money. He put my resume out on Monster. And Monster at the time was the largest, and it may still be, I'm not sure, but was the largest job search board. And, and one of the first and the largest. And my phone just started ringing off the hook. And and there was a moment, like there was a time when I was in college, I was like, I want to live in Atlanta. But I didn't make any plans for it. So I was also one of those students, Rosey, who had a lot of ambition, had a lot of vision. Like I could see myself. I interned in New York City. I had great opportunities and experiences, but there was a part of me that did not pursue a lot of things after graduation. Like I enjoyed being a student. I think I got really complacent living in Montgomery. I knew it. I was familiar. I had a lot of friends there, but I was working two jobs, a full-time job with the revenue department and a part-time job at the mall. So yeah, one, I had time on my hands. Two, it was great to have a little extra money to buy my professional wardrobe. So when he put my resume out on Monster's job board, I started getting calls. I started interviewing, and then I got an offer to be tax director for construction marketing company. So we didn't do construction, but we did the research in the industry so that contractors could make bids on construction projects all over the world. So we produced a lot of publications and books and things like that. And the reason I only stayed a year is that our company was acquired by a larger publishing house, and their tax department was in Boston. And I did not want to leave Atlanta for Boston. And then I started interviewing with the 5 public accounting firms at the time.
Ooh, wow. If you moved that time in Boston, I could have asked you a lot of questions about Boston.
I know. That's why I put so much emphasis on it. But I decided, I was like, I don't want to move to Boston. I don't want to be in the cold. So I stayed in Atlanta and then moved into public accounting.
Yeah. So when you work at Deloitte for 5 years, that's such a long period of time. And it looks like you mainly focused on state and local taxation the whole time.
The whole time.
So what did you learn the most in those 5 years at Deloitte?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. So one of the things I think I learned the most, one of the things I learned the most in my time at Deloitte was really about the value of building relationships across an organization. So it wasn't the technical stuff, because I think that is expected, right? You're going to learn how to do your job. You're going to be trained. And if you're not doing it well, they're just going to invite you to leave. But if you do it well, it's more than just the technical parts of the work. So one of the most valuable things I learned working in public accounting was how to build relationships across the organization. I think too often people focus, hey, I'm in audit group and I only talk to the folks in the audit group and I only have relationships here. I'm in state and local tax and those are the only people that I talk to unless there's a large meeting, but I don't have relationships with people outside of that. And so that was probably the most valuable thing, and it served me very well. Again, I ended up doing things at Deloitte and being presented with opportunities to do special projects, to speak at events for Deloitte, receive recognition, support the firm and its members and students and interns and everyone, all of our stakeholders. I got board positions because I built relationships with both partners and other firm members across the organization.
That's a great tip, because I feel like a lot of time we just focus on the group of people that you work with only. Mm-hmm. And even like within, like, we have different departments, right? And within departments, we have different group of people. Yeah. And a lot of time, like, people just narrow to that circle only. They don't even expand within the department, not talking about cross the organization. So
Exactly.
that's something that not many people are doing. So that would be great if if audience, if you listen to this podcast and start doing it, it will advance your career a lot faster.
Yeah.
And people see your names everywhere. So that's great. They know you.
They do. And that's so important, right? And that's what, again, where opportunities that you don't even know exist are presented to you because there are people who know your name and they know you and they trust you and they see you and you've built a relationship, not just because you want to get something. It's genuine and authentic and you learn from other people too. There were times where I had issues that I didn't want to talk to the partners that I worked directly with about, but I could go talk to an audit partner that I had built a relationship with and just get it out. It was trusted. I knew he wouldn't pick up the phone and call. He would just let me vent and then help me process and give me advice, and so many people have different experiences in the firm. Just because you're a partner doesn't mean all the partners have the same experience and what their journey is like to make partner. The first partner that showed me the partnership application was not a partner in state and local tax.
Wow.
It was a different partner outside of my group who shared it with me and told me, hey, these are some of the things that you want to start doing now to start building up your business case to become a partner in the firm. And at that time, it was still like 5 to 8 years out before that would have happened.
That's very early in your career growth to be a partner, but he already wanted to put you out there.
Yeah.
So that's a good start.
Yes.
That was a very good start. I'm just wondering, besides of that best lesson that you just shared with us, how about the most challenging thing that you faced with during the time of Deloitte?
I think the year I had a bad year. It was just a bad year. And I remember a partner telling me, oh, we all have a bad year. You just got to be able to make it through it. And I think we all is a generalization, of course, but it was a challenging year. It was the second year that I had made manager. I felt like my partners and senior managers everybody was just kind of looking out for themselves. My partner that I work with left the firm. Another partner who was at the firm, he was new to public accounting. So he was just trying to figure things out himself. And I got some feedback that just completely caught me off guard. I had never gotten bad feedback in my entire career. Even when I worked at the mall, I never got bad feedback. And I felt like it was unfair. It wasn't justified. I felt like that my partners and the folks in the firm weren't taking accountability as well, right? Some of the things that they were saying that I needed to improve on that I failed at was also, they were a part of that failure. And I felt like they were passing the buck. But again, because I had relationships across the organization in Atlanta, and in other national practices, because I was in a national practice at the time, I was able to talk to them about it and get them to support me. They stepped in so quickly and picked up the phone, made phone calls, advocated on my behalf to get those performance reviews changed. And I feel like a sense of I'm having a hard time even talking about it because I'm remembering the amount of advocacy that these partners and senior managers had on my behalf. So much so they was like, you can just come back and work in the Atlanta office. You don't have to work in this national practice. And so that was great, right? To be able to not be by myself. I didn't feel like I had to fight that battle alone. And I didn't have to resign myself to take what they said and make it as if it was true and sign those performance evaluations. And what I learned from that, though, Rosey, is that you have to make sure you know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, what people plan to say about you and what they're going to write about you in your performance evaluation. I think if I were to say one thing that I would have done differently is more check-ins and accountability, more check-ins to say, hey, what are you expecting? Understanding what they were considering good or bad performance. And I didn't do that. And I will say that I didn't do it because they never said I was doing anything wrong. But that no news does not mean it's good news. So not hearing anything does not mean that everything is going well. And so that was one of my biggest learning lessons, but it's also the advice that I give. And I write about that in my book, right? Having structured regular check-ins around your performance and the expectations that your leaders have about what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, and, what your performance is being evaluated against, because otherwise you're going to get blindsided. And then that does not feel good at all.